doesn't want to be. He doesn't want to be reaching my arm.
I just don't want to be between.
Duck and move. Duck and move.
Okay. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to start the Personnel Committee meeting. Courtesy of the floor at this time, if anybody has courtesy of the floor. Seeing none, we'll start off with, we have more than a few appointments and reappointments. Also, just so you know, there is someone new up here on the dais. Aileen Chavinsky was hired, and a letter was sent out from the county, from the president of council. Her hiring follows a committee review of 48 applications that resulted in 9 candidates being interviewed. And we think she's going to do a great job for us. Welcome aboard. Okay, the first one is Airport Authority for Ronald Heckman, County, courtesy of the floor. Yes. So this thank you. This appointment is for the Airport Authority Board for Ronald Heckman. It's being considered for a 5-year term. Beginning.
Is he here?
Yes,
I'd
he
like
is.
To meet him.
He's sitting 3. Right. 5-year term, beginning January 1st, 2020, and end December 31st, 2024. He will be taking the position previously held by Edward Lozano. Motion to move to full council. First of all, any questions on the question? Mr. Cusick.
Mr. Heckman, why do you want to be in the Airport Authority?
I don't like planes.
It struck me as unusual. I don't know.
So moved.
Okay. Okay. Next, we have recommendation of the following individual for county liaison to the Conservation District Board. These mics are a little more. Submitting the following individual for the council liaison to the Conservation District Board, Ms. Tara Zarinsky, County Council member. Ms. Zarinsky is being considered for reappointment to a 1-year term to begin January 1st, 2020 and end December 31st, 2020. Any questions or concerns? Motion to move.
So moved.
Thank you. The next is Election Commission. We have...
There's one more for conservation.
Oh, there is another one in conservation. My apologies. Oh, we do, yes. Okay, the next one on Conservation Board, thank you, is Theodore Vernisic. Mr. Vernisic is being considered for a 4-year term, beginning January 1st, 2020 to end December 31st, 2023. Any apologies for mispronunciations? Any questions or concerns? Motion to move.
So moved.
Thank you. Now we get to the Election Commission. Okay. Submitting the following individuals for appointment to the Election Commission. Alan Braw, MD. Mr. Braw is a registered Democrat and is being considered for a 2-year term to begin December 31st, 2019 and end December 31st, 2021. Being considered to fulfill the expired term of Deborah Hunter. Questions or concerns? Motion to move.
So moved.
Thank you. The next is also Election Commission appointment, an appointment to Election Commission. Daniel P. Lepresti. Mr. Lepresti is a registered Democrat being considered for a 2-year term beginning January 1st, 2020 and to end December 31st, 2021. Attached is his resume. Questions or concerns? Motion to move to full council. So moved. Thank you. Well, I need somebody on the committee to move it.
So moved.
Oh, thank you.
I thought Ron did. I'm sorry. I heard Ron.
Oh, did Ron? Okay. Okay. All right, moving along. An appointment to the Election Commission. Gail Pruninger. Ms. Pruninger is a registered Democrat, is being considered for a 2-year term beginning January 1st, 2020 to end December 31st, 2021. Questions or concerns? Motion to move.
So moved.
Thank you. Okay. Appointment to Election Commission. Frank L. DeVito is a registered Republican and is being considered for a 2-year term beginning January 1st, 2020 and to end December 31st, 2021. Questions or concerns? Hearing none. Motion to move. Mr. Warner? Thank you.
I should have asked, are any of these folks here that wanted to be recognized?
I couldn't, is anyone here
Anybody-
that's being nominated that your name was mentioned? Not yet.
Okay.
We got more to go through yet. Okay. Reappointment for Election Commission. Maddie and Hornick. Ms. Hornick is a registered Republican being considered for a 2-year term beginning January 1st, 2020 and to end December 31st, 2021. Resumes attached. Questions or concerns? Okay. Motion to move, second by Mr. Heckman. Thank you. Okay, that's through the Election Commission. Now we're getting into General Purpose Authority. Submitting the following individual for reappointment to the General Purpose Authority. Mr. Frank Pinnabone. Mr. Pinnabone is a 5-year term. Will begin January 1st, 2020 and end December 31st, 2021. 24th. To end December 31st, 2024. Thank you. Questions or concerns for Mr. Pinnabone? Motion to move. Mr. Heckman, thank you. Okay, next is a reappointment to the Jail Advisory Board. Mr. Edward Boscola. Mr. Boscola is being considered for a 2-year term to begin January 1st, 2020 and to end December 31st, 2021. Summary of qualifications attached. Any questions or concerns?
So moved.
So moved. Thank you. Individual as a reappointment to the Jail Advisory Board, Marvin Boyer. Mr. Boyer's term will begin January 1st, 2020 and will end December 31st, 2021. Some information in the back of this appointment letter. Questions or concerns for Mr. Marvin Boyer? Motion to move.
So moved.
Thank you. Okay. Individual for reappointment to the Jail Advisory Board, Jody Ruggiero. Ms. Ruggiero is being considered for a 2-year term to begin January 1st, 2020 and to end December 31st, 2021. Questions or concerns? Motion to move.
So moved.
Thank you. Okay. A reappointment, Lehigh Valley Planning Commission, Janelle Connolly. Ms. Connolly is being considered for a 1-year term to begin January 1st, 2020 and to end December 31st, 2020 for the Lehigh Valley Planning Commission as an elected official. Questions or concerns?
Yeah, where is she an elected official? It doesn't say on her resume.
In Argyle, she's a borough councilwoman.
Okay, but, okay.
Was she reelected?
It is,
Oh, it is?
yeah, 2017 to present.
Oh, there it is.
President pro tem.
Yeah.
Got it.
But it also
Argyle
says
Borough.
term expires 2019.
Yeah. Did she get reelected?
I don't know, we'll check.
Okay.
Any other questions or concerns before we move this? Okay. Move the full council.
So moved.
And we will check on the election. Okay, next is reappointment for the Lehigh Valley Planning Commission as an elected official for Susan Lawless. Ms. Lawless is being considered for a one-year term to begin January 1st, 2020, and to end December 31st, 2020. Her resume is attached. Questions or concerns?
City Council?
She's Hanover Township, it says in community involvement.
Okay.
She's supervisor?
She wasn't council, she ran it.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, okay, the address is Bethlehem, that's why.
Yep,
Connolly ran and was unopposed.
Thank you.
oh, okay, that was the previous one, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, move for Susan Lawless.
So moved.
Okay, thank you. All right, next, Lehigh Valley Planning Commission as an elected official, Pamela Pearson. Ms. Pearson is being considered for a one-year term to begin January 1st, 2020, and to end December 31st, 2020.
So moved.
Academy.
Okay, questions or concerns? So moved, thank you. Okay, next we're moving on to an elected official, Gerald C. Yob, Councilman of Freemansburg. Mr. Yob is being considered for a one-year term for a reappointment to begin January 1st, 2020, and to end December 31st, 2020. Questions or concerns for Mr. Yob?
Yeah, I'm concerned about his lack of experience.
He's got quite a couple of pages here, huh? All right, a lot of experience and wisdom. Okay.
No, he's been a great member for a long time.
Excellent.
So.
All right.
So moved.
Okay, thank you, Lori. Ms. Zephyr. Okay, next, we're going to move into the Retirement Board. I am submitting the following individual for reappointment to the Retirement Board, the Honorable Gerald Seifert. Mr. Seifert is being considered for a two-year term beginning December 31st, 2019, and to end December 31st, 2021. Questions or concerns? Motion to move. Okay. Mr. Heckman. Next is an appointment for the Revenue Appeals Board. Doreen Hammond.
Duran.
Oh my goodness. I stand corrected. Duran Hammond. Mr. Hammond, I stand corrected. I apologize. Mr. Hammond is being considered for a two-year term to begin January 1st, 2020, and to end December 31st, 2021. He will take the position previously held by Carl Lagenbacher. And he also has quite a lot of experience. Questions or concerns?
So moved.
Motion to move. Thank you. Okay, next is reappointment to the Revenue Appeals Board. Thomas Carosi. Mr. Carosi is being considered for a two-year term beginning January 1st, 2020, and to end December 31st, 2021. Experience is listed here. Questions or concerns? Motion to move.
So moved.
Okay. Reappointment for the Revenue Appeals Board, Ronald Lutz. Mr. Lutz is being considered for a two-year term beginning January 1st, 2020, and to end December 31st, 2021. Personal experiences is attached. Questions or concerns for Mr. Lutz? Motion to move.
So moved.
Okay, thank you. Reappointment for the Revenue Appeals Board for Thomas Cdbg. Mr. Cdbg is being considered for a two-year term beginning January 1st, 2020, and to end December 31st, 2021. Questions or concerns? Motion to move. Thank you. Submitting the following individual for reappointment to Revenue Appeals Board, Mr. John Weiss. Mr. Weiss is being considered for a two-year term to begin January 1st, 2020, and to end December 31st, 2021. And there is a information about Mr. Weiss, and it is a reappointment. Questions or concerns? Motion to move. Mr. Werner, thank you. Okay, which brings us now to memorandum from Elizabeth Kelly, Director, Department of Human Resources, from Sue Wondolowski, Director of Department of Human Services, personnel request on the Area Agency on Aging. Dated October 22nd, please accept this memorandum as a request to create the following positions in the Area Agency on Aging. It's 1 Aging Care Manager 3 position, pay grade PS 37B, pay range $44,341 to $72,256. And 1 Aging Case Aid 2 position, pay grade PS 29B, of a range of $30,040 to $48,953. These positions are needed to meet the increasing demands of older adult protective services community and will be reimbursed by the state accordingly. With Mr. McClure's approval, please ask County Council to consider the above requests. And hi, Ms. Wondolowski.
Hello. I'll be brief because we talked about this at the budget hearing. The state allocated an additional $100,000 specifically for protective services and specifically for these 2 positions to get us at least a little more in line with caseload ratio sizes that they would like to see. It won't fully get the job done, but it'll help us get on our way there. So
this has been budgeted also, correct? This is all set.
it was, yes, it was put, no, it was not because the funding just came through. I talked about it at the budget hearing, but the funding came through in October or at the very beginning of November. So it will be.
It will be in the.
Yes,
okay,
yes.
That's fine.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I move.
Yes? No? Okay. All right. Oh, move. Okay, we're going to move it to full council. Thank you very much. Okay. I think that sums everything up. So at this time, we would like to adjourn. Personnel.
Anyone need a few minutes? Any? Okay. All right, we'll convene the Finance Committee meeting. We'll commence now. Courtesy of the floor for anyone that wants to speak. Seeing none, we'll have a review of the 2019 budget amendments. We have a copy of it in front of us. Are there any questions?
Yeah, I would just ask if Mr. Barrett could just go through and give us a brief overview of what's in the amendment and why.
So, in general, all of the amendments are, most of the amendments are moving either money that's already been budgeted for or revenue that has come in, with the exception of the funding of the $1.2 million for the health savings accounts. You'll notice that there are a bunch of, I wouldn't call them unusual, but you'll notice on 54500 occupancy rent transfer in, you'll notice we were doing some correcting to sort of end the rental, the triple net lease on the human service building, to make sure the rent was reflected properly for our financial statements. So we will be A-OK for that in this year's audit. But that's really the highlights, unless there's any specific questions. Most of it is year-end housekeeping and human services.
So I have a question. So a lot of this was like in the pooled section, and then you just kind of define some of it. Is that?
Well, no, because the pool section automatically rolls. Well, it doesn't automatically roll up. When a request is made, we then roll it up into the correct line item as we're making our decisions. This is more of where money has come in that we could not have anticipated this time of year for the budget, or where we have, since this is one of the first times we've actually gotten out of a triple net lease to purchase a building, we wanted to make sure we had the adjustments and everything correct. for the financial statements so that when we were audited by the state, which we ultimately are in human services, that we're not in a situation where we leave it open to interpretation and we have to pay money back to the state for an unallowable expense.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, that way. And it's probably brought up at the meeting. I don't even know if you can answer it, but under aging, the nutrition program meal contribution dropped $15,400. Was that through the state or the Fed?
I believe that is Sue left, but yes,
Yeah.
I do believe that is the state money.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks. That's all I had.
Any further questions from Mr. Barron? Thank you, Mr. Barron. Okay, we're moving on to the review of the lease for the district court, 3219. Does anyone want to speak to this for the administration, or it's pretty much self? We've already reviewed this. Any questions on this?
Who's the district judge at this location?
I thought they told us.
1700 Northampton
Or,
Street.
Yeah, so this would be
So-
the magistrate district of Judge Griff, current Judge Griff.
Well, okay.
Okay, any questions? Move to council.
So moved.
Thank you. Okay, next is review of an amendment to the listing of county depositories. This is a housekeeping item, Mr. Barron.
Yeah, this is a housekeeping item that we do each year. You'll note that the only change is to remove Lafayette Ambassador Bank because finally, after 31 years, they've rebranded themselves as Fulton, which is already on our depository list. So that's the only change.
No questions? So we'll move this on to council.
Yep.
Thank you. Okay, review of Gracedale private payer rates. This is just a request by the Northampton County that effective February 1st of 2020, the Gracedale private pay rate for a semi-private room shall be $350 per day, and a private room shall be $360 per day. Now, are there any questions or concerns about that?
He's here if he could say a couple things
Brian?
about it.
Is it Brian? It's Brian.
Yeah.
Yes, this is just requesting a $10 increase in both of those rates, the semi-private room rate and the private room rate. And we've done this for the past few years.
Yes, it's been a yearly. Last year we did the same thing.
Correct. Yep.
Are we getting any pushback from that, Brian?
No.
No?
No.
On this, doesn't this reflect what you're allowed at the state or federal level?
Yes.
They give you that.
Correct. Yep. Yep.
We're in line with other nursing facilities with these numbers, correct?
We are.
Okay. Any further questions? Thank you, Brian. Okay. This is the one I want to know about. Review of donation from Sheepdog Cigar Club. Who would like to address that?
The sheriff was here.
Sheepdog Cigar Club donation.
Boom is here if you'd like to speak with him.
Outside?
Yeah. Hey, Steve?
Didn't this happen last year? Isn't
Yeah.
this a repeat?
Yeah,
did this
Corrections
last year,
received a donation of $1,000 last year.
There he is.
And then the president of the Sheepdog Cigar Club reached out to us asking could he make a donation back. A couple of our members actually belong to the club, which is, it's a nonprofit, but it's like a social club where guys just get together once a month. They go to different cigar stores. You pay like $20. You get 2 cigars and you donate one back to the military. And they run all these different fundraisers for the purposes just to support the canine animals in the military and the law enforcement and firefighters. So they reached out to us. They said Boomer seems like a good dog. And they'd like to buy him some food and some other. And that the joint stuff, you know, like we take when we're old, I see that they get pills for him, but he obviously does a lot of work, and so he probably needs it. So I'm just looking to accept their donation, if that's possible.
Okay.
I mean, they actually ran, what was it, a competition or?
It was the East Coast Canine Trials that were held. It's orchestrated by a woman who has an organization called Canine Cops. And they raise money not only for canines, but for people that suffer from domestic violence and children that have been misplaced and need to raise money elsewhere. So she does a whole bunch of stuff, but their primary focus is with the police canines in the area.
What place did we come in?
We didn't place, actually, because the Marine Corps came and they blew us out of the water. So.
That's okay.
That's not right.
You'll
get them next time, Boomer.
Well, Sheriff, thank you for allowing us to have the pup in and everything. And is there, are there any further questions or anything about
How old is Boomer? Boomer's a little over a year and a half now. It's about 20 months.
Beautiful dog, huh? So moved.
Thank you for the consideration.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We're going to bring him back for the vote?
No, I think it'll be all right. That amount, just so you know, is an in-kind donation of $1,272.50 to the Sheriff's Department canine unit. So it'll consist of dog food, toys, and grooming supplies.
If somebody wants to feed
that
the
nice?
dog, let them feed the dog.
Okay. Now we go to the Administrative Code Article 13 contracts. Anyone want to speak to this, or shall we just go through them? Are we okay? Mr. Ramili?
Most of them.
Okay. Okay, the first contract is a request for from Floyd G. Hirsch Incorporated, Norbath Trail Project Phase 1, 1 year, price $249,366. And it's a recommendation for Brian Cope of Parks and Recreation Superintendent for award of contract, correct?
That is correct. So this phase of the Norbath Trail Project is essentially a resurfacing of the 2.5 mile stretch of the trail. It extends between from Weaversville Road to Airport Road, ultimately to Jacksonville Road. It's one of the more heavily trafficked sections of the trail. It's definitely in need of resurfacing. It's, you know, the original trail surface is mostly gone at this point. We have struggled to maintain the vegetation on what we do have. So this is a much needed upgrade for that section of the trail.
The monies are outside of the general fund. They're DNCR grant and Act 13 monies, correct?
That is correct.
Any questions from council?
Yeah, just one. I noticed that, 16 firms accessed the RFP, but only one submitted a response. So we really didn't get a competitive bid. To what do you attribute the lack of competition for this? It seems pretty straightforward.
It is. I mean, it's hard to say. Lately, we've been having some difficulties getting a large number of responses on these, you know, smaller type of projects. I think part of it is due to the fact that contractors are very busy. You know, especially considering the economy is fairly strong right now. So it is a lot of times it's hard to, you know, contractors don't have openings on their schedules, and you know, the number of bids you receive is kind of reflected in that.
Okay, do I question? Go ahead.
We're gonna start.
I believe this sometime soon this winter. We're planning.
So they're gonna put asphalt on it?
The asphalt sections would have to wait, depending if.
Because of the batch plants closing?
Yeah, correct.
Okay, so they're gonna prep it and do all the things they need to do?
Yeah, the vast majority of the section of the trail it's just you know, crushed screenings that they're compacting. It's really just certain small sections where they're putting the asphalt down, mainly at the trailheads at the intersections.
Okay. Thank you.
The crossings, I should say.
Mr. Durden, did you want to add to that? Or you getting ready for a forensic center? Okay. Any further questions? Move it forward. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, the next procurement notice is dealing with the forensic center, special standard equipment. It's for a price tag of $339,136, and Mr. Durden is going to enlighten us.
Yeah, this will be for all the specialty equipment, the autopsy tables, the coolers, scales, and other similar equipment, body lifting devices. the special trays and such that we'll be needing in the facility. We've had a lengthy back and forth with MOPEC, and their representative, Bill Gannon, is here today, if you have any questions for him, as to nailing down very specifically what the facility will need and essentially not need. So this is how we arrived here. Are there any questions, or if you would have any questions for MOPEC?
I would just appreciate it if he would introduce himself and tell us a little bit about what his company does and what the services are going to be provided.
Thank you very much for your time. I'm Bill Gannon. I'm the local representative for MOPEC. MOPEC's been in business since 1992. We're in 90 countries. We've been handling forensic labs and as well as morgue equipment for most of the hospitals in Pennsylvania, my territory. We are very ready to take care of this project for you. It'll be a gorgeous facility. A lot of time has been spent on the design and the choice of the equipment. We're just ready to do the job for you. We're going to have it completely installed and ready to go as long as your contractor has the building up.
Okay. Can you describe a little bit in detail what the products are and how we will
Let's talk refrigeration. It's for body storage. You're going to have carts in those refrigerators as well as freezers. Histology refrigerator as well. The autopsy tables, and there will be 3 of those that would be downdraft as well as backwash, or I should say drained autopsy tables that can go up and down. We want to be able to accommodate, let me back up for a second too, we're also accommodating bariatric situations. So those tables can go up and down, and giving room for your pathologist to do whatever they need to do, whether they're right-handed, left-handed, or shorter or taller people, so they can be quite efficient in what they're doing. Also, the lifting equipment, so that no one gets hurt moving cadavers. There is storage, as well as grossing stations.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any more questions? My only question is do you foresee any concerns or problems with the equipment coming in? I mean, is this all specialty?
We take care of all of it.
Okay. You manufacture it?
We manufacture it. We're going to bring it in. We're going to install it.
Okay. Sometimes when people don't have the controls on the manufacturing, things get...
No, we manufacture everything.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Everything will be drawings provided so that it can be signed off on. So that everybody's crystal clear on what we're doing.
Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
being the lone bidder and being here. Okay. Mr. Bill, Kevin?
Did I understand they supplied equipment and installed the equipment? So they're from start to finish on this product? So you don't sub that work out? That's wonderful. Thank you.
Question. Go, Ron.
Are we moving along satisfied where we're at with the process, the entire?
We are moving along. We had a series of issues with the DEP trying to get to where we need to be. There has been a need to increase the amount of dirt brought onto the project, and as soon as we obtained our permits, I think you all remember, it started to rain. So we've been moving dirt and mud straight on through, but if you have the opportunity to pass by, you'll see that that whole area that we broke ground on is very broken up. So it is moving along very favorably at this time. And the anticipation is we'll be starting foundations in the following week.
Mr. Dertinger's Jeep getting stuck had no bearing on that problem.
Mr. Dertinger's Jeep did, in fact, not get stuck. It's a Wrangler. It doesn't get stuck.
Okay. We just couldn't see out the window. That's what you did.
No, it was covered in mud.
Do we need a motion to move this
Yes,
forward?
we do.
So moved.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Dertinger. Okay, next is, do you need to stay up? Hanover Engineering Associates? Yes?
That's a Michael.
Michael? Okay, this is for additional engineering required for design and construction documents. The price is $92,000. Now, my immediate question is that, you know where I'm going to go.
Yep.
And I do have one correction to make on that. That was my mistake. It is $92,000 in additional expenses to the project, but it would only necessitate an $80,000 amendment to the contract. There is $12,000 in funds that were allocated for a task that was not ultimately needed. So those funding, that $12,000 would be reallocated as part of this. So
So it's going to be changed?
Yes, that would need to be revised.
And my question is this a change order?
Yes, it is.
And it only says design and construction documents, additional engineering. Are we talking about spending money on just engineering documents and not anything in construction itself?
That is correct.
$80,000 in blue line work?
Yes, and I have asked Charlie Unanks from Hanover Engineering to come to the meeting today and to help kind of explain where these, how we reached this point. Just to give a little bit of background on it, this was a project that dates back to 2016, I believe, when the county was awarded a TAP grant for the project. It was another first of its kind project in which PennDOT granted us limited access right of way to construct a trail. And PennDOT's involvement, both their central office and their local District 5 office, their review comments oftentimes contradicted each other. It necessitated a lot of extra revisions to the stormwater. PennDOT requested that we put in a number of concrete box culverts to handle the stormwater flow, which is something that was not expected at the time of bidding. It had completely changed the permitting that was required and the NIPD's permitting. And then Hanover also provided additional assistance to us in revising the bid schedule and the bid items. When it became known to us that as a result of these changes, we'd be struggling to stay within the grant amount that we were awarded for construction. So we tried to work with Bushkill Township to determine what parts of the project we could handle through in-kind contributions from their Public Works office as well as our Parks Department to try to reduce the scope of work that we had to bid out. So Hanover also spent some time working with us to try to refine that scope.
Go ahead.
So is the amendment that we're going to have tomorrow be for 80,000?
That is correct, yes.
Okay, so we have to change it.
Yeah, my apologies about that.
Yeah, so if it's okay with the council, we'll move tomorrow, make it for the recommendations after it's changed.
Yes,
Okay.
so moved.
You okay
With one comment.
Yes.
The next time we hear the words, first of its kind, and PennDOT in the same sentence, can we all agree to run and say no? Thank you. So moved with amendments.
Anytime you hear change order, you should run. Michael, the only thing I would ask is that next time that something comes up like this, that there's an alert to it, because it seems like this was unexpected, so.
I agree. It's something where the county wasn't necessarily made aware of the extent of the fees that had accrued. The number was actually that was presented to us almost a year ago was significantly higher than the number that was in front of you today. I obviously did not want to stand up here and try to defend this, but it is much more palatable number than we were first presented.
Well, I see your correspondence on here, and I appreciate the fact that you did negotiate that, and you didn't just hand out a blank check, so thank you for that.
Thank you. Any further questions? Bill, Kevin, Tara, John? No? I think you did a good job of explaining it. Unfortunately, the person that we would have rather asked the question isn't here, so we'll see him another time. Ron? Oh, we are here. I'm sorry. Please step forward.
Oh, should I unamend it?
You let the messenger take the bullets for you.
And now Mike explained it very well. My name's Charlie Unanks. I'm president of Hanover Engineering. As Mike said, I can get into all the details as you want, but there were many changes. We started this project in 2015 with PennDOT, county, state, Route 33 corridor, everything. It drug on, not all our fault. Constant changing scope. And as Mike said, Mike and I talked, and it wasn't a slugfest in reducing the price. We've worked for the county and with the county since like early 70s. We appreciate the work. We dropped the price by half. So I just wanted to, it's not that the extra by half. We appreciate the work. We took a bath on it, and that's not your fault. But the next project will not run the same way. So, especially, we just, between PennDOT and all the extras, it just, we kept trucking on it to try to get you the finished product, to try to get the county the finished product. And so that sometimes the communication slipped as far as dollars go, but the project didn't slip. We try to keep getting towards the permits. So, unless there's other questions, I'll stop there and go back to my seat.
No, you stay right there for a while if you'd like. Any questions? No, I appreciate you being here, first of all, and thank you for stepping forward. I think the council will question what exactly was changed, and I'm sure it wasn't. I know how they work with the storm drain problems and concerns, so but I think a little explanation next trip in front of council would be helpful, so they know also, because it did stick out. It was kind of a surprise.
When that is.
I appreciate you coming and saying what you said, because we work with some vendors who would not do what you did.
we're
So
not
thank
hiding.
you for that, and thank you for being someone who's willing to continue your relationship with the county.
You're welcome. We've been in the valley for 1970, and we're not going.
Yeah.
Don't plan on going anywhere. So.
No, we'll pick on Mike. Sorry. Thank you for that. Any questions? Okay, motion to move forward
So
to
moved
discuss.
as, will be amended
With the correct
or
numbers.
revised.
Is
Is
that
the
a
right
solid number, by the way, 80,000?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Thank you. All right, Mike. Next up is the Princeton Hydro Program. It's a additional engineering and survey services for the Archibald Johnston Conservation. This is only $16,600, I'm glad to say. Justification is from Brian Cope, Superintendent of Parks. Do you want to expound on that a little bit?
Yes, so this project is essentially, it primarily consists of removing some small dams and other man-made obstructions along the Monocacy Creek at Archibald Johnston. It's a habitat improvement project, essentially. What this change order is to conduct a H&H analysis, hydraulics and hydrology, so that we can better understand the effects of removing these obstructions, changes to the water surface elevation, the stream flow velocities, in order to better predict effects that it would have on the rest of the stream. There is a nearby, I believe, Norfolk Southern Railroad line, and we do not want to severely erode the stream bank at that location and potentially undermine the tracks. So by doing the additional surveying and taking the necessary cross sections of the stream to better predict and analyze how it will react when we do remove these obstructions, it'll allow us to make the necessary changes so that we don't potentially cause downstream erosion and potentially undermine any adjacent structures. Yes.
Okay.
Well, to address the cost, essentially $13,300 is the actual analysis work, and $3,000 is the actual surveying work. It would have been $5,000 if we had authorized it at a later date, but they still had surveying work to perform out at the site, so there is kind of a cost savings by doing it now.
Okay. I wasn't sure what that $13,300 was referencing because it didn't have a dollar sign in front of it.
Oh, gotcha.
It could have been feet or acres or I don't know, but that would have been helpful. All right, thanks.
Further questions? Kevin?
Does this help us with liability if there is a problem down the road? Liability. I mean, I know we want to do the right thing, but does it give us protection if a problem does arise down the road?
I think it would certainly offer us a lot more protection than if we did not authorize this.
It's not like doing a environmental test on property when you buy it. You actually do get some liability with the lease when you buy that property. Nothing like that. It would just be in case of an argument, we could say, hey, good look at it. All right.
Correct.
And council should know this is also funded with an environmental protection grant. So that does help the situation, even though it's a charge or a change order, it does help the situation a bit. Correct, Mike?
Yes.
Further questions? Move forward, please.
So moved.
Thank you. I think that takes care of it, right, Mike? You're done. Okay. You're very welcome. Controller's audit reports. Bucky.
Thank you. I just, yesterday I had oral surgery, so if some of my words seemed a little slurred, my mouth is still a little sore. I also introduced a guest I brought, Tony Basile, our new county controller. He's here with us tonight, learning what we do. The first, I have 4 reports to review. The first one is the drug and alcohol treatment service providers. This was done at the request of county council, and with me tonight is Tony Sabino, our lead auditor, who actually did this report, so I'm going to let him explain it to you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
As Bucky said, as a result of some controversies surrounding the county's relationship with one of our drug and alcohol treatment service providers, council passed 2 motions on April 18th, 2019. The first motion requested that our office review the disbursement, receipt, and spending of county funding related to this service provider and to investigate allegations of a potential violation of a Cdbg grant. The second motion asked us to expand our review to the other treatment service providers used by the county. These motions were fairly specific, so we decided to do this project as an agreed-upon procedures engagement. That just means that it's not being done as a performance audit, so we just do the specific procedures and we do not issue recommendations. And we just have findings based on the procedures. We developed those procedures, and Mr. Heckman signed off on them, so that we were pretty sure that we were doing what you asked us to do. The first procedure involved reviewing the annual audit work papers that have been developed by the state, which are completed by the DNA division. We inspected these to determine if they were performed completely and if there were any problems noted in the section involving a review of invoices. We did find some small errors in those work papers, but for the most part they were completed adequately, and the work papers were found to be in compliance by the state. We did had contact with the state over that, and they said that they were in compliance. The second procedure we performed was a random review of 25 invoices, and we spread those evenly among the 5 service providers. Except for one small error, we found all the invoices to be accurate, supported, and properly approved. We did find that all the provider contracts stated that each invoice must include a definition of unit of service and the term of contract on each invoice, and we did not find that on any of the invoices we reviewed. We brought that to the attention of Drug and Alcohol, and they agreed to add those to the invoice template, so that'll be there in the future. The third procedure involved investigating the possible violation of the Cdbg grant. The specific allegation was that the service provider director was married to an individual who worked for a firm that received money from the grant, which would be a violation of HUD's conflict of interest rules. We found out that this was indeed true, although the funds involved were a very small portion of the total grant. Still, we felt it was a significant enough violation to report it to HUD, which had not been done by the county previously. And to let them decide on the severity of the violation. We did this in August. We noted that the vendor had also provided the county with audited financial statements annually, and that we also reviewed their IRS Form 990, and we really found nothing of concern there. That was the extent of what we looked at. We hope that we looked at what you wanted us to look at, and I'll take any questions you have related to that report.
Questions? Mr. Barron, you want to jump in on this? Are you okay?
I'm satisfied they looked into everything that had been brought to my attention, and it was reported to the right authorities and moved on.
Yeah, we feel that to let HUD decide the severity of that was the best thing to do. It was not a lot of money, but it was definitely a violation. So if they find that there's something that they want to look at, they'll certainly do so, I think. Okay.
So from our end, based on your report, things seem to be except with a few exceptions.
Yes, I believe that.
County level.
Yes. Again, we're not allowed to issue recommendations, but I think when you read the report, it's clear that they are doing things. Actually, I'm very impressed with the procedures themselves. I think the state has a very the audit that they do yearly is a very many pages to it, and it's very comprehensive in my opinion. And if they're doing that accurately and comprehensively, I think they're really looking at everything pretty well.
So we just have to, from our end, use the term contract.
Yeah, well, it's not policing. It's just that the invoice, the contracts say that the date of the units of service and the term of the contract needs to be on each invoice so that somebody could look at it and say, this is what a unit of service is. It's a cup, or it's an hour, or it's hard to look at that and know exactly what you're talking about. And those weren't there, so that's something that will be corrected. Okay.
Okay. Go, Bill.
So moving forward, then, with the little smidget of stuff that you had to pass on to the HUD, HUD group. I mean, moving forward, then, did they correct that problem? Then moving forward, I mean, was that a one-time thing, or is that
a one-time thing? It was
okay? So moving forward, we can continue to do legitimate business with these.
Oh, certainly. In fact, it's completely different from what we do with them from the treatment service provisions. This was a grant that was used a number of years ago to renovate their building, and it was from HUD, and that money was used. Most of it was used by the actual people who renovated the building. The project manager was the person who was married to the service director, and they received about $1,300 during that. But that grant is expired. The money has been used. The building has been renovated, and it's all said and done in the past.
Moving forward.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
The only question I would have is that there was a conflict of interest solved. No punitive damages.
Well, we don't know. The HUD, I don't think HUD is actually going to contact me regarding that. Okay. But we did refer it to them, and they may or they may not have any punitive measures, but there may not.
Okay.
We just don't know. It's up to them.
All right. Any further questions? Thank you for that report, Mr. Tony. Excuse me.
Thank you.
Mr. Zaborski. Thank you. Okay,
Thank you, Tony.
On to the next one.
The next one is the agreed upon procedures report of the 9/11 tax reimbursement mileage reductions for the real estate tax year 2019. This is a procedure which we agreed to by the Director of Fiscal Affairs, or evaluating the accuracy of the 2019 tax reimbursement via millage rate adjustments for municipals not participating in the county's E911 system, and recalculation of variances between the amounts based on the estimated 2018 E911 expenses versus the actual E911 expenses from 2018. We confirmed the data was used, found all the calculations were appropriate. Using actual expenses, we determined the variances between the actual and the estimated used by fiscal to calculate the mileage adjustments were variances reported to you for the use of future mileage adjustment calculations. The mileage rate was not reduced for 2019 real estate year due to a carryover of a higher reduction in the prior year that affected municipalities were entitled to receive. Bethlehem was consolidated into the county system March 2019. North Catasauqua and Wallingport were consolidated with Lehigh County in June of 2019. Per the Northampton County, per the state mandated consolidation, the county center negates the need for a reimbursement to the affected municipalities, since the local municipalities below the county level are no longer eligible for assistance for E911 services. As a result of the county administration's determination that this reimbursement should cease, this will be the final agreed upon procedures engagement performed by this office with regards to the E911 tax reimbursement for the affected municipalities. We conducted this agreement in accordance with generally accepted government accounting principles.
Thank you, Mrs. Zaborski.
So that will be the last time we'll have to do that.
There we go.
That'll be it. Questions on that? Okay, thank you, Mr. Vorsky. Next.
The next one is the Prison Financial Responsibility Program as of December 31st, 2018.
It's still standing.
Excuse me. The Prison Financial Responsibility Program, PFRP, has been experiencing increased revenue from its room and board charges to inmates over the past 4 years, growing at an average annual rate of almost 10%. Department of Corrections Management, excuse me, attributes the growth in inmate housing revenue to the increasing number of repeat offenders who surrender any funds on their person upon reentry to the jail. This trend is consistent with findings of the Federal Bureau of Justice, which found that 5 out of 6 prisoners were repeat offenders at least once within 9 years of their initial incarceration. We noted some errors in the calculation of room charges and room and board charges. All the errors involved the omission of chargeable room and board fees. 2 errors were associated with work release inmates whose charges for room and board were incorrectly calculated after factoring in the days on work release. Review of inmates' medical charges and revenue recognition indicates that it is unlikely to increase at a meaningful rate and will remain a small portion of the total revenue in the Department of Corrections. A representative of Prime Care Medical, Prime Care, stated that it has taken steps to increase accuracy and consistency of recording inmate medical charges after experiencing problems in the recent past. There has been an increase in the treatment of inmates for chronic illnesses and mental health issues which are not chargeable. Furthermore, there is a very low incidence of applying funds received by inmates to medical-related costs recovering charges due to the large amount of room and board owed to the county. The Offender Management System, OMS, is set up to apply funds received in inmate accounts to the room and board charges first, and then for inmate doctor charges second, and then medical nurses fifth. That concludes that report.
5 out of 6 return. So much for that.
Boys go back. They like it there.
Well, 3 square meals a day.
Sure.
Yeah.
A bed and warm bed.
Questions for the council? I'm shocked at the 5 out of 6 return within, what, a 9-year period?
Yep.
That's, what are we talking about?
Yeah, but what was their offenses?
I don't know.
This doesn't tell you what their offenses
No.
are.
No, that's not, a lot of it's probation, yeah, I got you. Go ahead.
So the money on their person, they come in, and that's,
They
they show up, they're
yes.
arrested, they have $20 in their pocket. That's put in an envelope?
That goes, first goes to room and board.
I see. So in other words, let's say they're coming in again. They've been in, they have a negative balance, they owe money. So they come in, they have money in their pocket. That's gonna go.
I believe that's how it goes. Do you know it, Steve?
Yeah.
That's how it goes.
Okay, and then, all right, I just wanted to understand. So if they have that, then it's not like it goes in an envelope and they get this money back at the end of their, let's say, they're there a year.
So if you're gonna go to jail, go to the Cayman Islands first, open a bank account, then you can go.
Come with empty pockets.
With empty pockets.
It's $100,000 a year. In 2018, we made over $100,000 from the inmates.
That seems like wrong.
Question, Bill.
Yes, Bill.
Question. So is Prime Care in charge of, are they in charge of the accounting piece on this? Because it says in here that they said they were going to go back and kind of recorrect it.
I think there's money owed to Prime Care, so there's,
Where do they fit in the piece of the puzzle here?
I believe that if you go to an appointment or have an appointment with Prime Care, there's sort of like a copay of some sort or some sort of fee that's assessed on your books, and everything is, what's on your books.
Oh, so that's only
example,
one of the little pieces of
yeah.
this
Oh,
whole
right,
puzzle.
yeah.
So if there's some medical that they have money on there, then that goes towards the medical too a little bit.
And it's highly regulated. So for example, if someone's out on work release, a certain portion goes towards their room and board. A certain person comes back to
The
that
money
on
that they
their
make on
commissary.
work
Oh, yeah.
release, and a certain portion gets to pay their medical too.
Yes, and a certain
Okay.
portion of it might have to go to pay court costs, fines, and restitution.
Okay, because it just stuck out, the Prime Care thing, because you know, that, I mean, they kind of
right.
owned it, you know, they said, hey, you know, we're gonna do a better job. And then I guess if they come in with plastic, you don't like check the plastic, right? It's only the paper.
No, only on
Okay.
You
paper.
put their room and board on a credit card?
What was that? No.
What? I don't quite understand this concept, though.
People
Like-
owe us room and board when they're in a
So we put
facility.
them in prison and then we charge them like they're going to college or something like that.
I wouldn't exactly call it college, but yes.
No,
there's a
it's
fee.
definitely not,
They
but
don't
like
really get
they're
a student
incarcerated.
activities fee.
Yes, they are.
And then they get,
Is there a lab fee?
It's a state mandated fee.
that's a state mandated fee.
Yeah.
So it's $10 a day, right?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Well, it says $10 per day or assessed.
Right.
Yeah, I don't remember what the fees are.
I'm just,
Sorry.
that's okay, no. You guys keep asking questions. The only question I had was, is this in an interest-bearing account that we're putting this money, or what are we doing with it?
Actually, we hold on to that money. I don't believe
And
it's in
do
a
what?
cash
Is that what you're
account.
saying? It's a cash account.
I mean, it's not going to get us a whole lot of money, and quite honestly, the amount of money in arrears that we are owed.
Yeah.
There are people who come in, who are repeat visitors. I guess is the best way to put it. Who owe us quite a substantial amount of money that will never be paid back in their lifetime.
If I may, Steve, I would guess most of the people we're getting in, well, I shouldn't say most, a fair percentage of them are never, they're not going to have any money. That's going to show, at least. As we used to say when I did welfare, you're not going to find a Social Security number with money behind it.
No, and
Even if there is a huge TV or stereo.
There are
in there.
people who, get quite upset that there's money on the books.
Yeah.
But there are times they owe them, that they believe they should get on their discharge.
Yeah.
Well, if they owe domestics, if they owe court costs and fines that are part of their incarceration, it's just, that's the one opportunity we have to make sure that we at least set some of that right.
Yeah,
And
I
we
can
have the rights to do that.
But I can understand that, but like charging for room and board seems like, I know I get it, it's a state mandate and there's nothing that we could do about it but just collect the money, but like, when did prisons become landlords?
It's been that way as long as I've been here.
Who has access to the account, and what is that money just sits there?
So the money actually comes in, it's accounted for, it's documented, it sits there. If it's in the form of cash, there's the option to have it put on, as they say, put on their books, or it's in their account. So they have the ability to move that to pay for phone calls, to buy commissary, and those types of things. And then it's accounted for that way within the system. Sometimes we actually have those individuals create an account right there and put it in at the kiosk. And then that way it's not, it's all
not
clean.
floating. Okay.
Right, okay.
Thank you.
I had a question. Our resolution and our rates are from 2001. Obviously, prices go up since that time. So I guess my question is, have we looked at this, and is this something that council should consider increasing the rates? And I saw you looked at some other counties.
Yes.
Are we comparable, or should we increase our rates for the medical and?
We sent a survey to 37 county controllers to get some ideas of what's going on. 5 counties use a one-time booking or processing fee ranging from $25 up to $100 that is assessed to when an inmate is incarcerated. Some of these counties disallow any further financial privileges until the inmate's initial fee is paid. Lehigh County commented that switching to a booking fee will which was cost-effective starting in the collections from booking fees have equaled or surpassed the annual amount of room and board fees that were actually collected. 5 counties exclusively charge inmates a daily rate ranging from $10 to $20 a day. Some of these 5 counties only charge work release inmates, and some do not charge work release inmates anything. Lebanon County charges a graduate per diem daily rate of $5 on top of a base $15 rate each time an inmate is recommended up to a maximum of $35 a day.
Okay.
Erie County charges both a booking fee and a daily room rate and room and board.
What about the medical? It's what is it? $3? that we charge, or $5 for the dentist. Boy, I'd like to have those co-pays.
I wish I had that yesterday. I went to the wrong dentist, I guess.
I guess I have a question.
Yes.
Like, I could see where the fees come in when someone's committed a crime and has the means to pay the fines, to pay the fees, but what if someone's truly indigent and they don't? So then what happens? It's a wash and we eat the cost, or?
It just gets added to their bill that they owe.
It gets added to the bill.
It gets added
we have
to the bill.
tons of outstanding restitution as well as court costs and fines.
So, but again, that doesn't answer my question. So if I'm on work release, I'm going out, I'm working, I rack up some fees, I get the means to pay it off. If I'm a drug dealer with a big stash of cash in the background, I guess I can pay and go. But if I have nothing and no means, and I'm not on work release, then what, do I have to stay like a debtor's prison, or?
No.
That doesn't.
Or are they allowed to do any kind of work inside to earn money, or any way to work their fines off or something?
You could ask the director of correction, Jim Castor. He could explain it better.
It's interesting, because I understand why the costs are high. I get it.
Yeah, but if you're incarcerating somebody for something, no matter what it is, and you're taking away their means or capacity to earn money and then charging them for it, and then afterwards giving them a bill or something like that, or saying that they owe debt, I understand paying off your fees, but even on work release, you're not making, $10 or $20 an hour. And if that's all going to them, what do these people have when they get out? Like, you're already almost guaranteed that you're not going to get a job when you get out because you have a felony or something on your record. It makes it more difficult to do that. It makes it more difficult to rent an apartment. So this is all hanging over your head. So if you wonder why people are going back into prison, I think that would be why.
But I don't think that is true in the case of work release, because they're not felonies. Most of them are DUIs, or they're domestic offenders. And
Still,
the
that's
point
difficult.
that crime doesn't pay is a piece here. Like, there's a part of me that says, okay, then don't beat your wife and don't end up and pay your child support, and then you won't end up in work release. Like, I could think in some ways it's meant as a deterrent. Where I get concerned is where people are indigent and they don't have the money, what means do they have to earn it to pay the fees? That's the question. Because there's more often than not people that will reoffend. The mentally ill portion is the part I'm concerned of, because a lot of these people, at least in our system here, are mentally ill. They are reoffending because they are mentally ill, and the best health care they get is right across the street.
You shouldn't be incarcerated because you're mentally ill.
No, but there's a loophole, and we are.
I think this is the whole prison reform conversation that we're not going to rectify here. But the fact that, we're still paying for this here and then it comes up is something to deal with.
Well, one thing about work release, our work release program, I understand, is doing very well. We have companies coming to the prison looking for workers.
Right.
We have some that even they send a bus in to pick them up in the morning, take them to work, and then bring them back at the end of the day.
Yes.
Well, yeah, do they have to pay them a fair wage, too?
I'm not sure what they pay them.
Yeah, I'm not sure either, but it's really nice to have, I'm not, okay.
Kevin?
Just to answer that question, yes, we have some very good employers that are paying these people. In fact, the one guard's going, that work release guy just got a job making more than I do out of work release. So, I mean, Victolic's picking up some of these guys. Yep. They're getting opportunities, and that's what they have to get. Right. And part of, Tara, I hear you, excuse me, Mr. Orenzi, I hear you, but part of it is responsibility, too. When they're on a work release, they have to be, you have to show some, the reason they got there is because they weren't responsible. So, paying for your room and board is a little bit of responsibility in there, too. My concern is, when they get out, do they have an opportunity to be successful? And that's why we have workforce investment in Northampton County. That's why we have people that help them write resumes in our county jails. And the more stuff we can do like that, prepare them to get out, the better off. But I believe, and this is just coming from me, I believe probably better than half don't ever pay their bill for being in prison because they're not gonna. Mm-hmm. The people paying this bill are the people on work release. It's just my opinion. I can't say that factually. So, though I don't want to see us burden these people, a little skin in the game doesn't hurt either, because we all have skin in the game when we're not, in life, so.
Thank you, Kevin. Any further comments?
If I can, I think, and we can ask Mr. Costero with the budget when he comes. I mean, it's a big issue, but if I'm not mistaken, I believe you get, let's say they go get a job, and it was stated, we don't have debtor's prison. So if somebody can't pay or doesn't pay, they don't go back to jail. But, and it's like a warrant. I mean, you can put it out, but say, well, he's working, he's not giving us anything. Well, then the county has to go through a process to try and collect it. And even at that point, I think they'd probably, if they're making X amount, it's not like you're going to take their whole check. They're put on some kind of sliding scale. But I mean, that would be a good question for the prison folks. I don't think we just take their checks right away, but I haven't gotten into this topic in years, so maybe it's a good thing for a refresher. I don't know.
Bring it up the next meeting. Any other further questions? Because my only other question is, if it's a state mandate, why is there such a wide gap in the numbers? Is from
I do not know that, Steve. I think
$10 to $100.
No, it's $10 to 20.
10 to 20. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Mr. Barron, socializing.
I wonder if it's based
The state mandates specific fees that are part of the fee bill, and every state or every county charges the booking fee and then the room and board fee to offset the costs. And there was a resolution that was passed, and it was a fee that you needed to charge this minimum, or you needed to charge the minimum, or this is what your resolution would say. You couldn't charge above a certain amount at one point.
They put a cap on it.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a minimum.
And we were at the lowest end of that.
Thank you. Mr. Zaborski, any further questions for that, or any answers to anybody? No? Okay, move on to the
Got
next
one more. We did a financial audit report of the Northampton County Offender Supervision Fee Program for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2018. In our opinion, the financial statements presented fairly in all material respects the Offender Supervision Fee Program in accordance with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States. However, we noted control deficiencies and other management issues, which I will discuss. Our observation was that the Adult Probation Division sends a copy of the petition for parole with the assessed supervision fee amounts to the Criminal Division. The Criminal Division is responsible for entering the fees into the Common Pleas Case Management System, CPCMS. I had trouble following this one myself. Once they're entered into the petitioner parole, form is stamped, filed with the date and time stamp, and Clerk of Common Pleas, Criminal Division, Northampton County. The form is returned to the Adult Probation Division as evidence that the Criminal Division received the form and that the fees were entered in CPCMS. We tested 12 cases and found one case with supervision fees in the amount of $510 that was not entered in CPCMS. Total costs, fines, and restitution of $8,756 associated with that case were not entered into CPCMS until we brought it to the Criminal Division's attention. We recommended that a sample of the completed petition for parole forms be reviewed prior to returning them to the Adult Probation Division to ensure all fees have been entered into the system. Management's response was they will randomly review 10 to 15 petitions for parole forms monthly to be sure that the fees are entered into CPCMS correctly. This one case that they missed apparently appears to have been an oversight when training a new employee. That concludes my report.
So did that get rectified? Got rectified, right?
Yeah.
Question?
Yes.
Done. Good idea.
Anybody have a question? I do have, so this goes through 5 different areas and then back to the adult probation program, correct?
It goes from
the parole with a fee, it goes from adult to parole with a fee to.
They sent a copy to the Criminal Division and then they enter it and send it back.
And then to the clerk.
Wait, say that slower? I'm sorry.
Okay, you want me to read it again?
Go ahead.
The Adult Probation Division sends a copy of the petition for parole with the assessed supervision fees to the Criminal Division.
Yes, that's 2.
Criminal Division is responsible for entering the fees into the system.
3.
Well, once they are entered, the petition for parole is stamped, that's filed, and then it's sent back.
Well, it goes to the clerk of,
The clerk of, that's the stamp, it says clerk of common pleas.
and then it goes back to the adult
It's returned to adult
And the
provision.
problem is the common CPCMS.
Right, CPCMS.
But we're touching 5 places,
Right.
and we have a problem with 1. Or at least we have oversight, we need more oversight on the CPCMS. Isn't there a way to like streamline that a little bit?
Yeah.
Suggestions?
I see what you're saying, but I'm not counting 5. Adult probation gets it, sends it to the criminal division.
That's 2.
Criminal division is the one that enters it into the system.
Okay, and then.
So you're counting the system as a third entity.
CPCMS is not the third entity?
That's a system, that's the accounting system. So they enter it in the accounting system, then they stamp it filed and send it back to the adult probation.
All right,
So 3.
It's a 4-stop loop.
This is why I
2?
Just
It makes it difficult.
Just an observation.
Follow the money.
That's a lot. How much money gets funneled through there in total?
I do not have that number here.
All right. I get it.
That's okay. If you
don't have
can
it.
give an approximation, I just.
Steve, any idea how much money goes through that?
A lot.
A lot.
Whoa.
Make note of that. A lot.
That's the most succinct the Norco Money Man has ever
Put that on your resume as you go forward in life, that one of your highlights as Director of Fiscal Affairs
Thank you
was
for that answer.
that answer.
Mr. Barron, I appreciate that.
A lot.
One
ahead.
one question. So out of the 12 cases, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 12 out of, like, is that like 1% of the transactions or 12 cases? That's just a
It's probably about 10%, I think.
10%.
I'm not sure.
So 10%, you found 10%, right? So, or no, 2%, or whatever it is. Okay, just curious. All right. Thank
How
you.
many zeros in a
Just an
lot?
observation that's a lot of hands being touched in that.
Yes, indeed.
role. I'm surprised you don't have more problems. Okay, Mr. Zaborski, have you further?
Yes, I just want to thank everyone for this opportunity to be your controller for the last 2 years. I've got 42, I may.
Is this your, will you be here
I don't know if I'll be
again
here.
before the end of the year?
Yeah, but I don't think I'll be here tomorrow. It might be the one in December. But we have 42 days to
42
go.
days.
Who's counting?
He asked me, so I have to count. Bob says, how many days left? I said, all right, I'll count.
Before we're done.
Okay. All right, well, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
It was an enjoyable 2 years. I've learned a lot. It was nice working with all of you.
We appreciate it.
And I'm sure Tony's going to do a good job when he takes over.
He'll have his hands full.
Good. All right, thank
He
you.
sees how we are.
Thank you, thank you.
Motion
May I-
to.
Motion, no, question.
I one quick point for the committee. We did receive Mr. Spadoni's opinion regarding the hotel tax. And it's somewhat what I had suspected, so I appreciate that. In addition to that, on tomorrow night's agenda, we are introducing the turn and grind ordinance for steel stacks. And as I read that, I noticed that it anticipates using funding from the 2005 pot of money, which is what we had done when we did PBS and steel stacks. So I guess my question or my request is that I would ask that the administration take a look at Mr. Spadoni's opinion, and maybe we can get the hotel tax back. So what we had in 2000 stays in 2000, and turn and grind could be put in 2005.
I did see that, and maybe I misspoke. The money is not going to be commingled. You will see clear revenue line items in the budget for 2000 and 2005. And in 2021, there will be 2005 money well in excess of the $200,000 that you are utilizing for, or you anticipate utilizing for the turn and grind facility. So that money will be there because it starts in 2021.
But then why isn't?
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, John.
Yeah, go ahead.
I looked at the documents, it's not 200,000, I express it's 2 million.
It's $2 million over 10 years.
So it's 200,000
So
every year.
200,000 every year.
it's,
I'm sorry, that's,
Is it
well,
written that
it's a
way?
lot, according to Mr. Barron. A lot.
That was my understanding of what it was.
Are we going to have a clear writing of this and laid out for council?
Is that your request?
No, I think what I would like to see is the typical 2,000 grants that we used to have, like the Covered Bridge Association, those smaller grants as part of the 2,000 portion, and then the 2005 be for the turn and grind and the Bethlehem, what was the UNESCO. So those big items, that's what 2000, in my opinion, I think Mr. Spadoni felt as well, that 2005 is for those big new projects. 2000 were for those smaller items. I don't know when, there's been no changes to the ordinance.
Go ahead, Steve.
Go ahead.
I have a suggestion. Go ahead, Steve.
The administration is not spending money, and part of our budget proposal for this year was not to spend money that we did not have, which is what we had done in the future, or in the past, I mean. We don't want to do that into the future. That's why we structured the hotel tax the way we did. The money is still coming from the same funds. Our external auditors have looked at it and said that pool of money that has been sitting there can be used for these types of projects. So that's why we have identified that pot of money. There's enough money in the 2005 grants this year. The 2000 grants will be built up, and in 2021, there will be enough money to take all those first-time projects, if that's what council chooses to do, and fund those. That's why the discussion came about, to push the turn and grind to 2001, or 2021 budget.
But the ordinance has 2005. So, and will that start next year? Will there be monies?
There will be. Oh, there will absolutely be money there. The money will be building up so that there will be money there for money to be taken out of that 2005 grant funding. There will be money there.
You got to put it on paper. Did you want to speak?
What we're talking about, in essence, is though taking the money out. We're talking about $200,000 a year.
Correct.
For over 10 years. So I just want our ordinance to have our T's crossed and our I's dotted, so we're all on the same page. But whether we're amending or we're creating a whole new ordinance, I'm not exactly sure right now.
Yeah, and I think what Mr. Spadoni and Mr. Cusick, and correct me if I'm wrong, you were looking to make sure that the money wasn't going to be commingled and disappeared, because in 2021 you were looking to use the 2005 hotel tax, and there will be a line item there that says 2005 hotel tax, and this is the funds, the projects that are being spent out of that particular source of revenue. That will never disappear, because I can't do it that way.
Maybe Mr. Cusick and people would feel more comfortable if we go back to when we did the PBS and the Arts Quest, how we set that up. We have the same thing, the language one, so that everybody can see that, and then we can read. Would that make you feel more comfortable knowing it's?
Well, I think what surprised me was that we already have a budget that takes from 2005. And then in addition, we're adding the turn and grind to 2005. And I'm wondering is there enough money for that additional 200,000 from 2005?
There is. The way I have it projected out in 2021, specifically if we're talking about the UNESCO project, the way that rolls, because it will roll, we will have plenty of money in there.
Is there a way for you to just do a sheet to show what that will look like for those members that just want to see what's going to happen between 2005 and 2020?
I can, if you'd like, I could put it together and project it out.
If we have a discussion about it, if you show it on paper and show and then assign it to what we're talking about with an ordinance, it would probably be clearer.
I could project that out.
Help?
Now, remember, the hotel tax is a moving target. The 2005 money has traditionally been a rather large amount. We were giving Arts Quest and PBS 39, I believe each like $300,000 a year. So $200,000 is an easy lift for that fund. And the last time we did it, it was a reimbursement program.
i.e. they would show us that they had bills that equated to that, and that's how we would write the check. I would guess that that is going to be the same mechanism if we're looking at replicating the ordinance the same way. And then the bulk of the 200,000 isn't paid out of 2005 right up front. It will be a slow pay based on what expenses you have. So I am very, very confident that the money will be there, but I'll show you what the revenues look like over the last few years.
And also the payment schedule, the way it was set up in the past, in 2005.
Sure. Yeah.
Arch Quest made a presentation. Are you sure that they will pay the 10 years of 200,000? Is that what they want? It doesn't say that now.
I know the ordinance doesn't say it now, but I believe that's what's been discussed.
I think Cassie indicated that. When she
Yeah, that's how it was explained to me. I apologize if, yeah.
Okay.
I thought the language that she used, she kept repeating the same as it was the last time, so it's, I guess you're right to check, but.
Yeah, and
Well, it was based on a percentage, and I believe this ordinance has a fixed amount.
It was for Turning Garden
The,
and
the way
Arch
that
Quest,
it worked
correct?
for
both.
Steel Stacks
Banana
was
Factory.
Banana
Factory.
Yeah, they were essentially given all of for part of it was almost all of it. And what happened was that continued to grow over time. So we wound up paying that off quicker than had been anticipated.
Year early, yes.
Yeah. So what's going to happen now is if I didn't see a payment structure as part of the ordinance that were.
I thought it was a one-time thing. I didn't know it was over 10 years. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go Cassie from Arts Quest, check with her, make sure that was the agreement.
Mm-hmm.
Then we can structure the ordinance the same way we did before with the 10-year payment thing. We took that part out from the other previous ordinance because I thought it was a one-time thing. But if it's going to be over 10 years, I will add that stuff back in.
Okay.
The ordinance.
As long as it's as close as what we did with the original Arch Quest and
It will be,
PBS.
but I just got to find out from Arts Quest if that's their understanding as well, because I don't want to introduce this and then come in and say, no, that's not what we wanted.
I'm pretty sure that's what they wanted, but let's double
I
check.
appreciate that. Is that right, what you want?
You guys are going to touch base so that.
We're all touch base.
We're all on the same page.
By yourself.
Okay.
We worked on this the last 2 days.
Yep.
We did it together. We both thought it was a one-time payment, and that's how we drafted
Like
it.
$2 million.
Not her fault.
Done.
Gotcha.
Right here.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
We determined it now.
Yeah, not tomorrow night.
It's why I brought it up. It wasn't clear to me what was going on.
Good. That's what this is for.
Go ahead, Linda. Go ahead.
Make sure you have the amendments to me for the budget by Friday, even your contingency requests. By Friday, because we have to do the resolutions and stuff.
Okay. Can we send that via to you email?
Yeah.
Okay. Any further questions? Move to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.